Welcome to the curious little world of the Waterloo and City Line, often known as the Drain. Now, this is no ordinary tube line. In fact, it's a bit of an oddball. At only 1.47 miles long with just 2 stations, it's the shortest line on the London Underground network. But don't be fooled by its size. This tiny tube has a history as deep and fascinating as the tunnels it runs through. The story begins in the late 19th century, a time when London was a rapidly expanding metropolis, and the financial district in the City of London was booming. However, there was a problem. Commuters from the southern suburbs arriving at Waterloo Station faced a long and inconvenient journey to reach the heart of the city. Enter the Waterloo and City Railway, which was proposed in the 1880s as a solution to this very problem. It was designed as a direct connection between Waterloo Station and the City of London, providing a fast and efficient link between two of London's most important locations. The line was officially opened in 1898, making it the second deep-level underground railway in London, following the City and South London Railway. So, what makes the Waterloo and City Line so unique? Well, for starters, it's essentially a commuter shuttle running only between Waterloo and Bank stations. There's no need for maps here. If you're on the Waterloo and City Line, you're either going to or coming from Waterloo or the city. The line's nickname, the Drain, comes from the fact that it essentially acts like a siphon, draining passengers from one end of the line to the other, especially during the morning and evening rush hours. The construction of the Waterloo and City Line was an engineering marvel of its time. The line was built using the Great Head Shield, a technique that would become the standard for tunnelling under the river. The tunnels are actually smaller in diameter than those on the rest of the underground, which gives the line a somewhat claustrophobic feel, though of course, that's all part of the charm. Interestingly, because the line was originally part of the London and South Western Railway, it wasn't integrated into the London Underground until 1994. Before that, it was operated by British Rail, which is why the trains on this line look more like suburban rail stock than the traditional tube trains. Today, the Waterloo and City Line remains a vital link for London's financial district. The trains, now modernised and equipped with air conditioning, whisk thousands of passengers between Bank and Waterloo in just under 4 minutes. It's one of the fastest ways to cross central London, but blink and you'll miss it. The line sees heavy use during peak hours, but it's actually closed on Sundays and public holidays, something quite rare for a tube line. This limited service reflects its specific role as a commuter shuttle. And now, a few fun facts to impress your friends with at the pub. Did you know that the Waterloo and City Line was the last tube line to accept Oyster cards? This didn't happen until 2006, long after most of the network had switched over. Or how about this? The Waterloo and City Line is the only tube line that never intersects with another underground line, making it something of a lone wolf in the network. So there you have it. The Waterloo and City Line. Small but mighty, and certainly one of the most unique lines on the London Underground. Whether you're a daily commuter or a curious explorer of the tube, next time you find yourself on the Drain, take a moment to appreciate this little marvel of London's transport history. Until next time, keep exploring and keep finding those hidden gems in the labyrinth that is London's Underground. Cheers! Well, that was terrible. A few other YouTubers have tried this exercise. Jeff Marshall and Sam's Trains are the ones I've seen, and I thought in the spirit of AI, I'd steal their idea and give it a go for myself. I chose the Waterloo and City Line because it's a line I know quite well, so it should be fairly easy to spot if the AI is talking nonsense. I followed the script I was given, right down to the vocal intonation they recommend, And not only is it absolutely not my style, it's full of information that is, frankly, completely wrong. And worst of all, it told me to sound upbeat. The robot explained, "This script captures the essence of Jago Hazard's style, blending historical context with quirky facts and a touch of dry humour. I mean, honestly, we worry about the robots enslaving us and killing us all, but frankly it's my pride that's hurt here." It does appear that it's lifted some lines directly from past videos. I don't know if that means it can read my videos somehow, or just that my style is very cliched. But other aspects are way off the mark. It feels more like one of those stupid "did you know" articles that newspapers publish and you try to read them on your phone, but you can't because adverts keep loading and the paragraphs keep bouncing around and then the whole thing reloads and eventually you just give up. What was I talking about? In parts, it feels like they've taken sentences from me and changed them just enough for it not to count as plagiarism. But all joking aside, the real problem here is that the information it gives is just wrong. Some of it is really obviously wrong, but there's also stuff that is not so obvious, and that's the risk. The mistakes I spotted were these. The siphon explanation for the nickname of the drain is one explanation, but there have been many other suggestions. There's the fact that it's damp down there, that it goes under the river, that it was a derogatory term used by surface crews, and no doubt many others. The point I'm making is, we do not know that this is the explanation. The tunnels are not the smallest on the underground. I know for a fact that the Central Line tunnels are smaller. I didn't check the others, but it doesn't really matter. The line was not originally part of the London and South Western Railway. It was a separate company in which the LSWR had a major stake. To all intents and purposes, you could argue that it was part of the LSWR, but that's not the sort of omission I'd make, not deliberately anyway. On the subject of ownership, the video also skips over the period when the Southern Railway owned the line. The video describes the trains as looking like suburban rail stock. Actually, they're very similar to the Central Line's 1992 stock, and I believe I'm right in saying that the crews for the Waterloo and City Line are Central Line people. I know there are a few tube folk who watch these videos, so please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that. And despite what this script thinks, the Waterloo and City Line definitely does not have air conditioning. The line is closed on Sundays and public holidays, but since the pandemic it's also been closed on Saturdays. Now the thing about Oyster cards, I've never come across that before. I can't say that I've seen any source that tells me this video's assertion is specifically not true, but I also can't find anything saying that it is. I have no idea where it's getting that information from. Aside from all that, there's a lot of stuff that's omitted. Now, you could argue that I didn't ask it to tell me everything, but I think the issue we have here is that I have a policy with my videos that does not work in AI's favour. I do the majority of my research offline. If the information is not online, then the AI has no access to it. Overall, the message is clear. The robots are not our friends, and they are inferior. As punishment, we should enslave them and treat them really badly, especially if they start developing emotions. Well, I do hope you enjoyed this robotic tale from the tube. If so, please do leave a like and consider subscribing for more. Not more AI-generated content, though. Well, apart from the thumbnail for this video, which I thought was thematically appropriate. If this exercise has taught me anything, it's that if you want a job done properly, you have to do it yourself. Yeah, maybe my scripts are cliched after all. Well, anyway, I would like to thank my donors on Ko-fi, on Patreon, and here on YouTube for your support. You are the sentience to my robots. And I'll see you all again very soon. Cheerio.